Thank you. We will resume our Board of Regents meeting for this May 23rd, 2018. Carolyn, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Regent Adley is absent. Regent Chabert.
Here.
Regent David.
Here.
Regent Ewing.
Here.
Regent Levy.
Here.
Regent Lipsy.
Here.
Regent Markle is absent. Regent McDonald.
Here.
Regent Meyer.
He's here.
Regent Perez.
Here.
Regent Pryor.
Here.
Regent Seal.
Here.
Regent Temple is absent. Regent Williams is absent. Regent Wyatt is absent. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, Carolyn. Appears we do have a quorum, and I'd ask now if there's any public comments.
No public comments.
All right, we'll move to the next agenda items. This is the adoption of the February minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? A second?
Second.
Any opposition? Hearing none, that motion passes. Let me just briefly go over something I have wanted to try to do after we selected our new commissioner, is to kind of apprise the board of what I think and others think are some of the overarching goals and objectives of the Board of Regents. Our board is new, and we have spent the greater part of today going into a lot of the details, a lot of the granular day-to-day operations, but we need to every once in a while back up and take a big look at what we're supposed to be doing, what our mission, what our vision is. So I have asked staff, predominantly Larry and his division, to help present a few slides that will give us an overview. Can you put the first slide up, Harold? Let me mention to you that in our master plan and in all of our discussions, one of our primary objectives has always been educational attainment, to raise the level of the education of our citizens of this state for all the obvious social and economic and other benefits that flow therefrom. It's our job to set those policies. It's our job to coordinate the education, higher education, to obtain that greater educational attainment. Take a look at this map, and you will see a depressing story here that we're ranked 49th in educational attainment. 49th. We have been in the very bottom for a very long period of time, notwithstanding the efforts this board, our system boards, have made to increase that educational attainment. It was pointed out this is not the best measurement because it only measures the highest degree and not the preceding degrees. If you have a master's, it counts that. It doesn't count the baccalaureate and associate that you may also have. But nevertheless, this is the measurement that is used nationally. This is what employers look at. This is what people look at when making a decision to come to this state or to stay in this state. So if we are to remain at the bottom of the educational attainment, we will remain at the bottom of all of the things that educational attainment cures. Health, dependence on government, crime, all of those things that flow from low educational attainments can only be changed if we change our ranking. So, knowing that, what are the benchmarks? What are the, how do we go about looking at our performance to try to drive ourselves out of last or second to last place on educational attainment? First thing, most obvious thing, what are we enrolling? How many are we enrolling? Harold, would you go to the next slide, please? Maybe not. Yes, there were. Tons of them.
Yeah.
Nikki, do we have those slides? Yeah. Well, that's disappointing. Pardon me? Then we will, Well, we can't put it on the screen.
Well, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah. Let me then just summarize for you what these slides would have shown. It would have shown that our enrollment, undergraduate and graduate enrollments, and it would reflect that we are decreasing our overall enrollment, decreasing over the last 10 years overall enrollment. We went from, and that includes both the graduate and undergraduate levels. Although the graduate levels have been steady, the undergraduate levels have been declining somewhat. Because of that, I think probably the best thing to do is to wait to see if Nikki can get this up on the charts, because some of these things are not easily explained as well as they are visualized. So we will skip this for the time being if we can, and see if we can take up the committee reports and recommendations and see if we can get it by the end of the presentation. We'll have the committee reports and we will take them up together in Global. Any board member that, or anyone else present that wishes to take up the committee's report separately, please let me know. We can consider this committee report separately. Otherwise, I'd like to take them up globally, in Globo. Is there any request?
I move to take them up all together, all in Globo, A through G.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second to taking up the committee reports and recommendations that we heard today. Do I have a motion? Yes, sir.
I have a motion to pass
Okay.
the committee.
All right. So is there any opposition to the approval of the committee reports and recommendations?
In Global.
If there's no opposition, then that motion passes. The next one are reports from our commissioner, and I will turn it over to Dr. Joe Rollo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I'd just like to make three brief observations. The first one is, since the last board meeting, the legislature has been in session, and as you heard, we started a special session yesterday, and we will continue that for the next couple of weeks. So obviously the staff has been engaged in preparing for and testifying and following up on all those various things. It's my understanding that the excitement and the drama that has been generated by the legislature has allowed Netflix to perhaps get an option on a new reality television show, so stay tuned, as they say. The second topic is we have also been preparing transition for our new commissioner, Dr. Kim Hunter-Reid, who will be starting here no later than July 1st. And again, the staff has been engaged in a lot of activities, everything from policies through cleanliness of the areas. And then finally, let me invite anyone or everyone to join us at 2 o'clock in the Rotunda today. The governor has proclaimed today as Higher Education Day, and he will meet with stakeholders at 2 o'clock. And hopefully many of you can join us over there to show not just support for, but to show our legislative colleagues the importance of higher education. That's it.
Well, thank you, Dr. Rollo. As all of you know, this will be Dr. Rollo's last meeting with the Board of Regents. And I'd like to recognize Dr. Rollo because over the last 3 years, he has served this state and has served this board in an outstanding fashion. We're appreciative of his leadership, of his guidance, and I want to mention a few of the highlights of his tenure with us, with the Board of Regents. Number one, he created here's a nice picture.
I haven't aged at all.
That was a picture he had when he applied for the job.
35.
It had a few more hairs have been pulled out since then. Dr. Rollo established the Elevate Louisiana, our overarching aspirational message. This is working with our stakeholders and with Deloitte. The long-term goal of higher education and innovation was spelled out in the aspirational message again, Elevate Louisiana. He developed a statewide footprint for the Board of Regents. He integrated LumCon, LAFSPA, Lewis, Lonnie, LaCasu under the board's leadership, thereby emphasizing the broad mandate and responsibility for the multitude of these critical programs. He has emphasized the need to enhance the rigor of high school preparation for career in college. He developed Board of Regents policies to minimize the need for remediation for our high school graduates and he tightened the requirements for the faculty to teach dual enrollment classes to high school students. Dr. Rollo initiated the Affordable Learning Initiative to directly benefit college students. He supported the initiation, development, and implementation of that program to replace expensive textbooks with less costly but still rigorous open source materials. That's a program we've needed for a long time, Dr. Rollo, and I appreciate your pushing that to its present level. He developed an intentional outreach program to stakeholders throughout the state. He made multiple regular and repeated visits around the state, the Rollo Tours, and to share the board's message with the citizens and businesses of our entire state. He solicited support from business, from community groups, from the university faculty and leaders on behalf of higher education. Dr. Rollo invigorated the forgotten potential of LumCon, our statewide research and teaching resource. He commissioned a business study, hired a new director, provided the financial resources to allow the singular maritime resource to become an asset for all of the universities of the state. If you haven't been to the LumCon facility, you need to go. He has stemmed the continuous erosion of state funding for higher education for the first time in a long time. Last year, he served as a visible, vocal, and powerful voice for all of higher education, especially when dealing with the legislative and executive branches in state government, and especially about our budget. Those are but a few of the many accomplishments, and I thought he'd rather not want this recognition. He said he did not want this recognition. But I think you'd all would agree that we owe him an enormous debt of gratitude. Dr. Rollo, we thank you for your work. You will certainly be missed. Our state, all of Louisiana's higher education, are better because of your tenure as Commissioner of Higher Education. Thank you, Dr. Rollo.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
may I make a comment, please?
Please do.
I did have the pleasure of working with Dr. Rollo for most of his stint here, and when he came, he promised us 3 years and gave us just a little extension of that. I regret that our audience disappeared like a sinking ship there, but
As soon as they get what they want,
they left and the 4 systems are gone. But what I want everyone to know, and it's very important, in the 3.5 years Dr. Rollo has served us, he has been instantly responsive to every member of this board. I've never in all my years, and it's close to 60 now, of working with civic, charitable, business-type organizations, have I ever worked with the leader, professional leader, that has been so cooperative, so understanding, so responsive, and able to very subtly get things done, and a person that, as we as board members, he always had our back, and I hope we always had his back. But I want to congratulate Dr. Rollo. I want to thank him for taking us in a new direction, because we were not getting there, unfortunately, under the old leadership. And it's been a remarkable turnaround. As a board member, I'm very proud of him personally, and I want to thank him for his leadership and wish him well on his ventures when he gets in his car and heads west.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think he's going to be an apprentice to an artist, is what I understand.
I'll be here driving.
He's going to be carrying somebody's canvases around. But thank you, Dr. Rollo. Are we ready to proceed with the charts?
Yeah, Chair Levy, we have the presentation with the 25 slides that are included, so you can just point to, and we'll advance the slides as you direct.
All right. Yeah, we're going to go rather quickly then, if you would, on the enrollment for by student level, graduate versus undergraduate, right there. Take a look, folks. This is the undergraduate in blue, the graduate in gold, and the top line is our grand total. For 10 years, we're not much further along in 10 years.
Absolutely.
When we talk about increasing educational attainment, we must increase our enrollment. Next slide, please. This is enrollment, next slide, please. There you go, by LSU system. We have them by each system. You can see the enrollment presently for LSU there. The interesting one is at the top. If you see that LSU in Shreveport all of a sudden is a high producer of graduates, that I understand is almost wholly in part due to a Master's of Business online provided privately in cooperation with LSU Shreveport and mostly to out-of-state students. However, it does generate revenue for the institution. It doesn't help us with our educational attainment generally, but it does show you that these institutions are trying to stay alive the best way they can to serve those students who are Louisianians. Louisiana in Southeastern and Louisiana Tech. These are three very large, very strong, very growing universities. We have concerns with UNO and its population, which is much greater than half of what it was 10 years ago or 15 years ago. That's a great concern. That is our Queen City, and we need to have that enrollment brought back to pre-Katrina days. Grambling fell down pretty substantially, but it is coming back and coming back rapidly under new leadership. Nichols continues to be one of our smaller schools, and Regent Chabert has promised me that that's going to change. He's going to have all of his family members enrolled, which will double the population. Next slide, please. LCTCS systems. You can see Delgado dominates still, as it should. You know, Delgado's our oldest and biggest and has been and continues to be. But that's no replacement for UNO. That's no replacement for Southern in New Orleans either. So our community college growth has been something we need to continue to keep our eyes on. We've changed some of the stuff because these charts are reflecting students that are enrolled by credit hours, not students that may be taking courses that are not credit or earn credits. Next slide, please, Harold. Here are our four-year enrollments by age groups. This one confused me a little bit when I asked for this chart specifically because I wanted to know what that makeup was. Are we becoming an older population in our schools? And you can see to some degree we are, but look at the 19 and under continues to grow. That's our hope. That's our kids that are coming to us primarily out of high school. Even though the demographics are confusing there, that's encouraging there from 36,000 to 46,000 in 10 years. That's hopeful. The top line's a little discouraging to me. I visited with Dr. Tremblay about that, and there are other explanations perhaps, economic, tuition, things of that nature. We've, as you know, increased our tuition, which may make it harder for those non-top students. But the bottom line is the most worrisome to me. It doesn't concern others as much as I am concerned. We have reached out to that population. This is our non-traditional students, our 25-year and older students. We have made a concerted effort for 10 years to try to grab those students and bring them back in. But it's trending a little bit down, and so we need to drill down. We need to analyze what we as the board can do to encourage greater numbers of students in that demographic. Next slide. Here are undergrad by age group at our two-year institutions. These are likewise interesting. Our 19 and unders are up, but only marginally. Our 20 to 24 and 25 and older non-traditional students are down. Now, a lot of this is because some of these students are moving out of credit courses to non-credit courses. because the non-credit courses are very often are being paid for by business. And so the businesses are taking up and paying for it, but they're not getting academic credits, and so they don't show up. So we need to keep an eye on that to make sure that there's a reasonably good response to that chart. And we'll be looking at that further and want you to as well. Next chart. Next slide, please. Is it stuck, Harold?
Yes.
Let me tell you what the next couple of charts have as we work on our IT stuff. The next ones show enrollment by place of residence. We hear a lot about the number of out-of-state students that come and the number of international students that come, and they are, by and large, steady over the last 10 years. We don't have a large influx, like I had expected, of international students because many of our universities had deliberately gone out to recruit them, but it's not happening. So still, the vast majority of the post-secondary education enrollment at our four-year schools, as well as our two-year schools, remains rather static. Nice picture. One of the more important deals in addition to retention, all right, can we skip forward some? What's the word, gentlemen? Pardon? Well, that's unfortunate because we had some charts I wanted that allowed you to look at each institution, all of our institutions, that had information related to how they have trended over the last 10 years. And then,
Can you have that?
It's available.
Can you have
yeah,
it
I'm going to make it available online, and I'd ask...
And to us too, please have it.
No, I mean to you, online to you guys. I'm going to have it sent to you because this is unfortunate. There's a lot of information that we need to keep our eyes on that we get bogged down when we come here once a month. And
There you go.
all right, there we go. Look, here's our enrollment by place of residence. Thank you for unfreezing. Please remain at the table. Look at the 10-year trends there. Not much change. Go to the next slide, please, Harold, if we can. Two-year schools, again, not much change, but overall enrollment changes. 2013 was a banner year, then it has not matched that again. Next slide. Retention. This is holding a student over from his freshman to his sophomore, or his first year to his second year, and also we have other measures. But this helps measure, are we going towards educational attainment? We get them enrolled, are we keeping him? Are we allowing them to come back? And if not, why not? Take a look. This one's kind of scary. If you take a look at 2008 in our four-year schools, 81.7% students held over to the next fall's retention. Look what it is today, 81.7. 81.7. So what is it that makes this so hard to move from 81.7 to 82 to 85? It's perhaps a combination of issues. It may be the economy. It may be the cost of tuition. It may be life just happens. But there it is. We're not moving in the direction that we need to move in. And our two-year schools, even a failure of 10 percentage points is significant. Again, this may be attributable to a lot of these courses being non-credit now that were credit before. Next slide. Here is your institution by institution or system by system views. Take a look at LSU's. First-time, full-time students that are retained. This is fall to fall. They've gone down. Not much, but a little bit. Pretty steady. LSU Alexandria, gone down. Not much, pretty steady. In Shreveport, it's gone down 9 percentage points. So what's going on there? Why are they not holding these full-time, first-time freshmen? It may be a host of reasons, but we need to monitor these types of things. Look at Southern, a 78 to 71%, and Southern and New Orleans, 58, have gone up 61%, which is encouraging. But the totals are 74.3% retention, now only 70.3% retention. Southern and Baton Rouge, that moves that number pretty hard. Our ULS system is all over the board, but by and large, Grambling's up. Tech is up slightly, and you can see the rest of them. Look at the ULS total, 79.5 to 80.3. This is our largest system. It's going up less than 1%. If we're going to achieve an increase in educational attainment, we cannot be satisfied with where we are. And we're going to have to ask our schools individually, our systems collectively, and ourselves, what is necessary to drive educational attainment, not a little bit, not incrementally, but substantially, if we're going to be competitive with other states. Next slide. Percent of full-time students in fall-to-fall retention. Take a look down at the bottom and it will give you those numbers. Next. Completers. So we've enrolled them, we've retained them. Have we graduated them? Have they gotten out with a certificate? Have they been a diploma? Have they completed that? Well, here is your completers by academic year, and you can see that we are higher than we've ever been in 10 years in the total numbers, but not much. But not much. Look, our certificates and diplomas are down a little bit. Again, this primarily comes from LCTCS. Again, it may be because we're changing credit to non-credit. But look at our associate degrees. We should be much higher than that. But maybe they're transferring, right? Well, not necessarily. Look at our four-year in the gray. Our baccalaureate four-year degrees, we're at 18.9. 10 years ago, we were 17.7. This is not the type of growth that will get us off of 49th. We need completers. We need people with certificates, diplomas, associate degrees, graduate degrees, baccalaureates, PhDs, everything, across the board, if we're going to become the state that we should be. Next slide. This is a completers by system, LSU system. Again, LSU Shreveport, that's the anomaly. You'd say, golly, it's a regional small school. How come it has more graduate students? Again, that's an online phenomenon. But it is what it is. LSU Baton Rouge down at the very bottom is obviously the largest flagship university. Where are we? We want to look at that ratio of the gold to the blue bars. For a flagship university, you might think that there should be a little bit, since it's a flagship research institution, a few more graduate percentages or points or people than that. But be that as it may, we all understand where we've been for the last 9 years and are still. Next slide. That's the Southern system. No surprises there. Next slide. UL system. Again, the large schools produce the most number of completers. This is not magic. Next slide. LCTCS, the undergraduate, all of them being undergraduates, of course. You see our two big producers are Delgado and Baton Rouge Community College, followed by Swell in South Louisiana. Those of you from North Louisiana like me should be concerned about Delta's production. Delta's production is not anywhere close to what it needs to be for that part of the state. Next slide, please. Our graduation rates, which we all talk about all the time, if you would show that next slide. This is IPEDS. This is the one that everybody dislikes on the bottom, the blue, but we have also superimposed the statewide. Now, the difference between IPEDS, this is a 6-year graduation rates for 4-year schools. And that's just how the national measurement is. You have to start at a school and you have to finish at that same school within 6 years to get picked up on this IPED. That's the standard. We use both IPEDs, but look at the top one. This is the one that says if you start at any school in Louisiana and graduate from any school in Louisiana, that's that gold bar. And so that's a little bit better, because I'm more interested in that. I want to know how many graduates, not necessarily, if they started at the same school, stayed at the same school. You want to know whether or not they graduated from a Louisiana school if they started in Louisiana. And that's incrementally better, again, 51.4%, but that's 6 years. Dr. Rollo has impressed upon all of us, as have all of his predecessors, as we must, and Dr. Reed will in the future, that we can't go by 6 years. 4 years is where we ought to be.
That's right.
And we need to bring whatever persuasive powers we have to get our students in and out within 4 years, or close to it. 6 years is too long. It's uneconomic. It costs the state money, it costs the students money, it delays their productivity into the workplace. There's a whole host of reasons that we need to narrow it. We've asked our schools to reevaluate their programs, to get rid of excess classwork so that we can get the students in and out. It used to be 120 hours. We need to keep focused on 120 hours to the best that we can, and not let students be hanging around for 140 hours, unless, of course, they're just interested in being students forever. All right. These are our statewide graduation rates by institutions for our four-year schools. As you would expect, LSU is nearly 70%, followed by Louisiana Tech at 56%, and on down the line from there. So we have two universities, our two top graduation rate universities, but again, this is 6 years. Next. This is our two-year institutions. Look at the difference in the graduation rates. Well, you expect that. These are two-year schools. A lot of their students don't graduate. They transfer, hopefully. Or they get out because they get a job and the employer pulls them out before they get a degree. So you don't expect these two-year community and particularly technical college institutions to have 50 and 60% graduation rates. But nevertheless, we've got to do better. Next slide. The end. Folks, these are the big picture issues. Educational attainment depends upon enrollment, retention, and completion. If we focus the big picture on that and then do what we do every time we come down here, which is all of the infrastructure required, let's always ask ourselves, does it advance our primary directive of increasing our educational attainment? I thank you for your attention. I just wanted to bring this to you because we have a young board. We have a board that needs to be prepared for the next steps, a new commissioner, and hopefully a new economic reality. And if we are, then let's know where we are and know where we're going. Thank you. At this point, we are open to other business. I wanted to first and foremost mention that our former student member, Darian Williams, could not be with us because he's now engaged in his two internships, two in Washington, D.C. with Steve Scalise and the Senator Bill Cassidy. He has been an outstanding student board member, and I think we've all profited by his presence. But we now have a new member, and it is a student board member, Anthony Kinney. Mr. Kinney, please stand up and be recognized. Mr. Kinney is the SCA president of Southern University. He will be sworn in at our next meeting on June 20th, and we look very forward to your time with us, Mr. Kinney. And you have big shoes to fill, but I understand you got big feet. So would you like to address the board, your board?
That's our future.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, Board of Regents. First and foremost, I'd like to say thank y'all for working with Open Arms. Once again, my name is Anthony Kinney. I serve as the SJ president at Southern University here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I was elected on behalf of the COPS board and council student body president to serve as a student member of the Board of Regents. So I'm very excited to work along with y'all for the next upcoming year. One of the biggest things I always say, the best interest of any university is the best interest of the students. And I definitely think the best interest of the state of higher education is the best interest of our students. So I'm definitely excited to work with y'all this upcoming year. This is going to definitely be a learning experience for me as we push Louisiana to a better direction for higher education. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kinney. We'll swear you in and swear at you next month. Okay. We have two of our folks that are also needing recognition. Matt Adams and Nikki Godfrey recently completed their year-long program in leadership, Baton Rouge, sponsored by the Baton Rouge Area Chamber. They graduate from that on January 5th. Congratulations to, June 5th, I'm sorry. Congratulations to both of you for putting your time and effort into this effort. And oh, by the way, Nikki got her PhD the other day. She got a PhD in Education Research and Counseling with a concentration in Higher Education Administration. That might be useful. Our next meeting, folks, is on Wednesday, June 20th. It will be the joint BOR meeting, and we'll be sending methods out to that. Do I have any other business to come before the board today? If not, thank you for your patience and safe travels. We're adjourned.